Plymouth Board of Education of April 9th, 2025 to order at 7 p.m. Please join us in the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I'm just going to warn my fellow board members and the audience to bear with me. This agenda is a little bit, there's a lot of moving parts to it. So, item number 2. I'd like to entertain a motion to amend the agenda to add the following to executive session. Item C, MOU, non-lapsing account. Item D, MOU, PEA for athletic director for middle and high schools. And item E, MOU, department coordinator positions at Terryville High School.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Perugino and Ms. Lucian. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. I'd like to entertain a motion to adopt the agenda as amended.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Foote and Ms. Lucian. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. We are moving on to item number 3. And before we get started, I'm going to ask the board, do you feel it necessary to caucus, or can we move right on to voting our vice chair? If you would like to caucus, we certainly will break to do that.
Who wants the vice chair position?
We don't know that yet. We have to see if we need.
So what we would do now is we would caucus to Republicans and Democrats into different rooms, have that conversation of who we'd like to nominate for election to the vice chair position. And then we would go through our normal voting process that we would do, that we normally do on every 2-year basis, but we have a unique situation with the board member stepping down and a new board member, Mr. Bognier, joining us this evening. So we have to put in a vice chair. So the question really is, do we feel a need to caucus, or do we want to make nominations now in the open and public before we caucus, or if not caucusing at all?
Yeah, if you want to know beforehand and all that, we can caucus.
No, we can do it.
How does everybody else feel?
Sure.
Go without? Are we good?
Yeah, so someone will make a
Yeah, we would just nominate right from here,
Okay.
if that works for everybody.
Question.
Yes.
This is only good until November, correct? We'll be seeing new
position,
people in
yes,
November.
Until we
in
redo all
November,
of our,
after
yeah.
the election in November of the new board members, we would have a re-election of
the chair.
the chair, vice chair, and
Yeah.
secretary.
Just double checking.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
So,
they're 2-year terms in the leadership positions.
1 second. Reconvene after caucus. I'm going to move on here.
You're doing a great job. The problem we have is that my secretary, Pat,
I have
learned
lots
how
of
to highlight
notes.
on the computer. So we have yellow pages in front of us that before were hand highlighted, but she's coming into the year 2025. So,
All right. I would like to entertain a motion to eliminate going into caucus and proceed directly to the election of vice chair for the Plymouth Board of Education.
So moved.
Mr. Showers?
Second.
Second, Ms. Candria Florenciani. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Okay. All right. Are there any nominations for vice chair for the Plymouth Board of Education?
I'd like to nominate Kelly Tilton.
Okay. Kelly Tilton was nominated by Patrick Perugino. Any second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Zabushka. Any other nominations?
I'd like to nominate Michelle Lucian.
Second. Second, okay, so Michelle Lucian was nominated by Greg Showers, seconded by Mr. Foote. Any other nominations?
Move they be closed.
Okay. There being no further nominations, the following motion was made. To entertain a motion to close nominations for vice chair of the Plymouth Board of Education. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Showers, second. Mr. Foote. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay, we are going to be getting some ballots.
Oh, there it is.
So on this ballot, you are going to put your name, and then you are going to vote for either Mrs. Lucian or Mrs. Tilton. Am I voting? Yeah.
Let me go to you, right?
Just so every board member understands that these ballots and your vote is going to be made public within 48 hours. So,
Fold them?
It doesn't matter. I'm gonna read them, so.
we collect them.
Here, Michelle.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Of course. All right, 4 votes were cast for Kelly Tilton, and 4 votes were cast for Michelle Lucian. I have not voted. I am the tiebreaker. Let's see, do I have to do anything other than just vote? All right. So I am going to go ahead and vote for Kelly Tilton. So that would make it 5 votes for Kelly and 4 votes for Michelle. Kelly is the vice chair of the Plymouth Board of Education. Congratulations, Kelly. All right, I'm going to give those to you. Let me write my name down. I should put in writing too. All right.
You're going underneath this line.
Okay, so all the way down to here
I
now?
don't understand that.
Okay.
Nope, you passed that.
Nope, yeah,
And
no.
number 8.
And Michelle, okay, this was, Michelle was, yeah.
Keep going.
Keep going. Oh, even further.
Line number 8.
All right. We are up to item number 8. Sorry about the disjointedness.
It's 5 on ours.
What's that?
It's 5 on ours.
5.
Oh,
It's 5. Our numbers
Sorry.
are different. We apologize.
sorry. Approval of minutes is what we're up to. Approval of minutes. So I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the following minutes. The minutes of the regular Board of Education meeting of March 12th, 2025. And do I have a motion? Kelly Tilton, second.
Second.
Mr. Showers. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Myself.
Mr. Burbanier? Motion carries. Okay, the minutes of the special meeting of the Plymouth Board of Education Policy Committee of March 12th, 2025.
Second.
Who was the first? I'm sorry.
Kelly.
Kelly? And then not Michelle, Cindy. Sorry. Any discussion? All in favor? Okay, so just Kelly, Cindy, and Lou you guys are in approval, so motion carries. All right, my item number 9, I'm not sure what number it is for you guys, 6? 6 for you guys. Student representatives. Welcome Fallon and Ava.
Thank
Love to hear
you.
from you.
Good evening, everyone. On March 21st, members of Pride Pouch, a club that promotes inclusion in our school, attended SojiCon at Yukon stores. The purpose of SojiCon is to create a place of acceptance for students who are trying to figure out who they are and an overall celebration of being who you are. At the convention, students participated in workshops on a wide variety of topics. Some of the things that were covered were creative writing, nature, understanding others with differing perspectives, and learning strategies for exiting toxic relationships. But students weren't the only ones learning. Teachers participated in workshops and meetups with other teachers from different school districts across the state to discuss strategies for supporting students of diverse backgrounds.
The Terryville class of 2027 hosted our first ever Ruse Night here on March 21st. We had over 70 students come and hang out with their friends outside of the stressful work-loaded school kind of environment. We had freshmen and sophomores together being involved in games such as basketball and volleyball, along with watching movies, singing karaoke, competing in March Madness, and having snacks from our concessions. It was a blast, and it's definitely something us as students will be making happen again.
On March 18th, members of Future Business Leaders of America, or FBLA, attended their annual conference at SCSU. FBLA is a club we have here at THS. Students pick an event from a long list that FBLA Nation offers that pertains to business in some way and learn about it independently over the course of several months. Some events have tests that students take, like economics or business ethics, and others require a presentation, like a job interview. Throughout the day, students got to converse with hundreds of other students from across the state and attend several seminars to further their learning. At the end of the event, after all events had been scored, Aria Rothperal, a freshman, won 5th place in the entire state in Introduction to FBLA. Congratulations, Aria.
The Terryville High Drama Club has been working extremely hard these past few months on our production, Legally Blonde. We have been rehearsing every Monday and Friday from 5 to 7:45. In the upcoming weeks, we will be having our tech week and really get into the actor mindset and personas of our characters. Our show dates are Friday, April 25th at 7 and Saturday, April 26th at 2 o'clock and at 7 o'clock. We all hope to see you there.
Juniors took the SAT on March 26th. Leading up to the big day, members of the junior class participated in SAT prep twice a week for 5 weeks. Of the juniors surveyed, most found that unfortunately the math topics we heavily focused on did not show up a lot on the test. The surveyed individuals, however, did find that strategies that were taught during the prep weeks were very helpful, especially with timing. Teachers can't know what will be on the assessment each year, but they do review THS's answers and compare them with the state's answers to make revisions and better our review sessions for the following year. While juniors were going through weeks of prep, the rest of the student body adapted very well to changing schedules and classrooms being moved around.
Terryville Unified Buddies had their most recent event on March 25th here at Terryville High. Unified Buddies is where individuals who are not in the Apple program hang out and form bonds with the ones that are. We love doing this and meeting new faces every time we get together. This Friday in March, Terryville friends all got together in the gym to spend quality time together, playing tons of games such as volleyball, basketball, pickleball, and even had some relaxing coloring outside the gym. It was so great to see all of our Unified Buddy friends, and we hope to have another event very soon.
Every month, Ava and I highlight the amazing things that happen at Terryville High School. Most of these things are student-run or achieved by students, yet no one hears about them. Each week, our students vote for a teacher, Each week, our teachers vote for a student of the week, and the winner gets a small prize with their photo on a bulletin board. We've brought it to Mr. Holtz's attention that we feel students' amazing achievements should be announced and celebrated more. The Student Council is brainstorming ideas to make this happen at this moment. But what about the other things that slipped through the cracks? The hardworking wrestlers we shared about last month never got mentioned. The Future Business Leaders of America award winner never got mentioned. Inductees to the National Honor Society never got mentioned. The list goes on. At the moment, we're unsure exactly how to approach this large task, but at the end, our idea will ensure students' accomplishments always get spotlighted, no matter how small. We will work to stop the unfortunate trend of students' time and commitment to our school going unrecognized. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I agree. I think that's great. I look forward to, I'm sure you guys can tackle the problem. I'm sure you'll figure it out.
Thank you very
I think
much.
there's that. One, I want to say you guys did an amazing job tonight.
Thank you.
You did it there's a lot you covered.
Yes.
But I agree. We don't celebrate our successes enough.
Yeah.
And it's not just at the high school, though. There's great things going on at our middle school and our elementary schools as well. And it's one of those things where we have to find a way to make sure these accomplishments are getting out there. And we can talk. I would be happy to be involved in that conversation with Mr. Holtz as well here at the high school, because I could then bring it down to the other schools too, of what we can do to celebrate our successes. Because We have amazing students
Yeah.
doing amazing things in our school district, and it should be celebrated. So I agree.
Thank you so much, Mr. Falcone.
And as always, we really appreciate you guys bringing not only the good news
Yes.
and the positive, but bringing us your struggles and bringing us your problems, because this is what we really wanted from our student representatives, is the whole truth. So.
And remember, only good things about me.
And ladies, you are welcome to stay, but you are also welcome to go if you have more pressing things to do.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much.
All right, now we are on to item number 7, presentation. We are going to go ahead and go with our Terryville High School presentation first. Mr. Holtz, Mrs. Hurd.
Good evening, welcome. Tonight, we're going to have a little bit of a non-traditional presentation with not a lot of energy.
You need a boombox first,
We need a
Mr.
book,
Holtz.
but it's not going to have a lot of energy.
Oh, okay.
We're going to keep this simple and quiet. No?
Check it, direct it, let's begin. Party on, party people, let me hear some noise. DC's in the house, jump, jump, rejoices. There's a party over here, a party over there. Wave your hands in the air, shake it there, yeah. These 3 words when you're getting busy. Whoa, there it is, Hitman.
Thank you so much.
Upside down and inside out, I'm about to show all you folks what it's all about. Now it's time for us to get on the mic and make this motherfucking party hot. I'm taking it back to the old school, cause I'm an old fool, so cool. If you wanna get down, I'ma show you the way. There it is, let me hear you say.
Yeah, they didn't give them to you just to look at.
Great. I'm going to turn it over to Riley.
Hello, everyone. My name's Riley Harold, and this is Ashton Spino. We are seniors here at Terryville High School, and we learned this year about Surprise Squad, which you just experienced, when we attended the Berkshire League Climate Summit, which we'll talk more about in a minute. And we wanted to bring this to our own school. Every Friday through teacher nominations, we play music and recognize the student of the week. For the day on Friday, they could wear their own crown and get a coupon for chips and a drink from the cafeteria, candy, and a certificate. It's just a couple minutes of fun that inspires our peers and recognizes members of our school community.
That's okay.
1 week, we even flipped the script and surprised the teacher who the students secretly nominated.
Sorry, emergency.
In December, members of the Student Council attended the Berkshire League Climate Summit at Chippewa High School.
1 second.
Okay. In December, members of the Student Council attended the Berkshire League Climate Summit at Chippewa High School. There we attended various seminars and learned about community building activities and programs going on in the neighboring high schools. We brought many ideas back with us, including Surprise Squad.
So next I'm going to talk about our kindness mini grants. We call them Kangaroos for Kindness. About a year ago, Mr. Falcone approached us to share a program that another district saw great success with. And these programs are student-led initiatives funded, thanks to the Board of Education, with mini grants. Our students wrote proposals, and Mr. Holtz and I really enjoyed sitting with the students and listening to their ideas of how they wanted to give back to their community. Really, there isn't an idea we will turn down. Big or small, near or far. It's been really rewarding to work with the students to see their ideas come to fruition. The first one started with the prom dress closet that's upstairs. That's an actual picture of our closet. There's about 300 new and used dresses in there, and we've been able to outfit girls from over 10 local high schools in the past year alone. Some other projects that have come from this, along with the dresses, Fallon, who I think is still here, organized a dog bed and blanket collection in the fall and had great success. We have a student making and selling bracelets to support Connecticut Children's Hospital. And we hosted the variety show in March. We filled the auditorium. It was highly successful. Right, Tyler?
Yep.
And the proceeds from that benefited the Angel Fund. I'm going to turn it over to Marley, who's going to share with you 2 more projects that are still ongoing right now.
Good evening. My name is Marley Molsick, and I'm a junior at Terryville High School. Recently, I was inspired to organize a baby doll drive for dementia and Alzheimer's patients when my grandmother was diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's. These dolls can create joy in the patients and bring back many memories of parenting and caring for people. This initiative, sponsored by the Kindness Grants, is currently ongoing. There are collection boxes at all of the Plymouth Public Schools, Key for Counseling, Reach for the Stars Academy of Dance, and the Learning Center. If you have any new or gently used dolls, we would appreciate the donation. I'm also going to be sharing for my friend Valerie Poulin, who couldn't be here tonight, about her kindness project. She organized a self-defense class called Escape Alive, sponsored by Jane Doe No More. Their organization is offering a free class for up to 50 members of the Terryville and surrounding communities here in the Terryville High School Gymnasium on Saturday, May 3rd. Sign-ups are now open for this free class for girls and women. Scan the QR code. This information is posted around the building and can be found on the Plymouth Public Schools Facebook page. Thank you.
So as one of the board goals being that of student engagement, as you can tell just based on the presentation so far, it's been a focus throughout the year. Wanted to highlight a couple of more recent activities. The first being the variety show, which I'm not going to cover too much because I have more to talk about that later, and we've already heard it pop up a couple times here and there. But the Ruse Night was a huge success. That was something that the sophomore class wanted to do as a fundraiser. It was a blast just hanging out here from 6 to 10 with a bunch of the freshmen and sophomores who primarily were the ones that were in attendance. The energy was great all night. It was really cool to see some of our volleyball girls just school the boys on the court all night long, so that was a good highlight. But their energy was just through the roof for 4 hours straight. It was fantastic. Gave a really good sense of just the school community. The other thing that we're really proud of, and this is the 3rd year that we're in it, we'll do some clicking, is our Unified Buddies, which I don't remember if it was Ava or Fallon brought up that we had a recent meeting. This year it's been a little less of what we were hoping for, simply because we had really developed a great partnership with Thomaston last year, which was fantastic. When you consider a lot of the kids that are involved in the Unified Buddies, they don't have the same opportunities as a lot of students to interact with kids from other towns, whether it's through soccer games or basketball games or whatever the case is. And we had made a really great connection with them. They had a change of staff members, and they haven't really been able to pick up the pieces quite as much, so we've been doing more on our own, which the Nortons, Mr. and Mrs. Norton, do a fantastic job with, and all the students that participate are incredible. But we're looking forward to hopefully building that relationship again. It just opens the doors for all of our kids well beyond the walls here at Terryville High School. At this point, I'm going to introduce Drew Fowler. He's going to wrap up the presentation.
Hi everyone, my name is Drew Fowler. I'm a junior at THS. As some of you may know, I was diagnosed with a brain tumor when I was 4 years old, and I've been on treatment for the past 12 years, on and off. So last year I had an idea. Since September is Pediatric Cancer Awareness Month, I wanted to do something impactful to give back to my hospitals. So, on September 21st, 2024, I hosted Drew's Walk of Gold for Pediatric Cancer in the THS parking lot. It was a fun day. Bands played live music, there were food trucks, amazing raffle prizes, a bounce house, and many laps walked around the track. We are so proud to have raised over $16,000 for Connecticut Children's Medical Center and Boston's Dana-Farber Cancer Institute with the help of our wonderful Terryville community. I want to give a huge thank you to Mr. Falcone for helping make it all possible. So thank you for listening to our presentation, and a special thank you to the Board of Ed for your support of the extracurricular activities that benefit the climate and culture at Terryville High School. Thank you guys.
Thanks, Drew. Sure.
You know, there's so much negativity in our world all the time, and everyone's fighting and arguing. This is what it's about. This is kids doing great, as Fallon said, kids doing great things. and making a difference in others' lives and making a difference in each other's lives. And, you know, I got a board of ed sitting with crowns on, except for Greg, who just pulled his off right away. But, you know, it starts here, and it's giving the administration the green light and the keys to the car. And that's what we did with Mr. Holtz and Ms. Hurd when we talked about the initiative. And then it's them giving the keys to the car to the kids and the teachers to make these things happen. And I'm so impressed at what the high school's doing with their culture and climate, their engagement of kids, and feeling a piece of this community. So nice job. It was a great presentation. Thank you.
All right, our next presentation is CAPS LCSA.
So each year at our middle school and high school, we identify 2 students in each of those schools who stand out as outstanding citizens and students. They not only meet a high academic standard, but they also are leaders within their school, and they're exceptionally kind to their peers and others in the school. These students are chosen by their teachers and administrators to be named the Litchfield County Superintendent Award winners. Our principals, Mr. Holtz and Mr. Vigliotti from our high school and middle school, are here this evening to share some kind words and introduce our 2025 Superintendent Award winners. So I'll go with Mr. Vigliotti first. And I know Mr. Vigliotti and Mr. Holtz have a little wager going on who will speak longer. I know who I have my money.
That's no.
I know who I have my money.
That's no contest, Mr. Falco. Come on. So thank you for having us here tonight. Always nice to be here with the board to celebrate our students, which we have 2 just amazing young people from Eli Terry Junior Middle School here with us tonight. So I'm actually going to just introduce them both to you and have them stand next to me while I talk about them for the next bunch of minutes. So our Superintendent Award winners this year are Daisha Giovacchino. So come on up, Daisha. And Eddie Armbruster. So one of the things we do at the middle school is, you know, just like at the high school, we have a lot of clubs. And even if we don't have a club that students are interested in, we encourage them to start their own clubs. And every once in a while, a student does take you up on this offer. And usually what happens is somebody will find me in the hallway and say, I want to start this club. And I'm like, okay, you know, you need to find an adult that will supervise your club, and you need to have, you know, what are you going to do? And then sometimes they follow up, and sometimes they don't. And every once in a while we start a new club. So at the beginning of this year, I got this on my desk, which you can't see it probably from where you're sitting, but this says at the top of it, Film Critics Club. And I'm going to read to you a little bit from this sheet. Eli Terry Junior Middle School is a community with endless opportunities for students to find hobbies of interest. This could be through sports, unified arts, core classes, etc. The most important and effective way to truly find something intriguing to the students at ETJMS is through clubs. To appeal to the interest of every student, Film Critics Club could allow learners to debate, study, and get a kick out of discussing their favorite movies, all while learning key skills in life. By joining the Film Critics Club, students will develop the ability to critique and analyze different aspects of the film, such as motifs, themes, and directorial choices. Students will also be able to recognize and empathize with various experiences and emotions while appreciating visual symbolism, set design, and cinematography. And then it proceeds to list the rules of the club. My favorite one is the third one, which says only write serious feedback and ratings. This is not just for fun, right? Serious business. And then it goes on to describe who the advisor of the club is going to be and so on and so forth. So needless to say, this was an easy club to say yes to. And this proposal was written by Daisha, who founded the Film Critics Club this year with a couple of friends of hers. And it really, what I just read to you really speaks to the level of detail and the level of effort that she puts into everything that she does. You know, aside from founding the Film Critics Club, she's also a 3-sport athlete. She plays volleyball, she plays basketball, she runs track. How was that yesterday, by the way? Cold? Yeah, well, I bet it was cold. They had their first meet yesterday. I saw some pictures and it looked really cold. And Dacia's teachers describe her as kind-hearted and conscientious. Someone who quietly leads by example and demonstrates the work ethic and grit needed for success at the highest levels. She's just done an amazing job over 3 years at Eli Terry, and we couldn't be more proud to present this award to her. So congratulations, Dacia. And then we have Eddie Armbruster, who the first time I ever met him was 3 years ago at 6th grade orientation night when a couple of nervous parents wheeled him in a wheelchair because he had, a broken leg? Yeah. And how did you break that leg? Flipped a go-kart, right. I remember. That's what you told me. And mom was nervous a little bit that, Eddie wasn't going to be able to get around the school. And we went up in the elevator and we had our orientation. And then I got to see him every morning when he got dropped off in the back for those first couple of weeks. And so I had that memory of him with the cast. Then like a week later, we had a welcome back block party. And there's a whole bunch of kids out there just in the middle of the parking lot screaming and yelling in a circle. And there's someone in the middle dancing. And who is it? It's Eddie. And I remember thinking, this is the kid that mom was worried about because he had the cast and he wasn't going to be able to get around. 1 week later, he's here dancing. And, dancing through middle school is basically what he did for the next 3 years. He did not let that stop him then or, any of those years since. Eddie is an extremely active member of our school community. He's a member of the Games Club, the Leo Club, student leadership. He's in the video club, which, thank you, Eddie, because I don't think I could corral all of those 6th graders if I didn't have Eddie to ably assist me and say, Mr. Bigliotti, I think we need to pull this back a little bit. And so he's always there, my right-hand man in that club. He's really involved in dance many nights a week, and despite all this, he maintains extremely high achievement in school. So, really impressive. Eddie's teachers describe him as someone who brings a positive attitude to everything he does, actively engages classmates in the work process, seeks feedback to improve his learning, is polite beyond his years, someone you can always count on to wish you a nice weekend or ask about what's going on in your life. Just a really great young man. And again, we're thrilled at what he's accomplished in the years he's been with us. And, congratulations, Eddie. Great job. So, thank you, Dacia and Eddie, for all your contributions to Eli Terry. We really feel that you both truly exemplify what it means to show up, work hard, be kind, every day. We know that you're going to have great success in high school and everything you do in the future. So, congratulations.
I can guarantee I'm not talking that long. I first want to congratulate Eddie and Dacia. I don't want to put my foot in my mouth, but I am almost positive 3 years ago, Drew and Fallon were in the same spots as you. Yes? Right? And Drew and Fallon have become incredible leaders in our school the last 3 years. And they're going to need to step up big next year, and we're going to need you guys to step up big next year, because this year we're losing 2 huge workhorses that I'd like to recognize tonight. If I can have Cassandra Fortunato and Tyler LaChance come up. So if you're familiar with the 80-20 rule, or 20-80, where 20% of the people do 80% of the work, this would be more like 5-95 rule on a conservative day. They are the president and vice president of the senior class and hold offices in pretty much every other club we have. the amount of work that they accomplish outside of the classroom is incredible. When you get to this point as a senior, the resumes speak for themselves. They've taken the AP courses, the honors courses, they've excelled in everything they've done. So what I want to do is talk a little bit about each of them in a separate way. So I'm going to start with Cassandra. Cassandra was a student, I don't know that I could remember first 2 years. You want to talk about a kid that just stayed under the radar, was happy not having anybody know who they were. So then come junior year, I'm starting to get all these forms across my desk, I'm starting to go to these activities, and this one name and one face just keeps popping up everywhere. And I'm like, did we get a transfer? Like, who is this kid? Cassandra decided that from sophomore year to junior year, she was going to work on being a little bit more extroverted and being more involved in the school. I've got to tell you, there's nothing that happens here in the last 2 years that I don't think her fingerprints are all over. It's been an incredible transformation. I honestly don't know in all my years that I've ever had a student that went from like a wallflower to somebody that is a huge leader that we have leaned on incredibly for the last 2 years. I did want to read one thing, and I don't know that you've heard this from one of your advisors. So again, she's part of pretty much every club we have, so she works with a lot of our staff members. So one of her club advisors had this to say: Cassandra organizes and hosts all fundraising and events, including bake sales, paint night, and a fashion show. She is the main driving force behind the club's existence, growth, and activities. She is certainly going to leave a huge gap here when she graduates in 2 months. Her organization, creativity, genuine character, and her hard work is going to pay off tremendously when she ends up going to McGill University in Montreal in 2 years. She wants to take a year at Tunks's first to get some of the core credits under her way. She plans on majoring in marketing, though, and I have no doubt that whatever you do, you are going to knock it out of the park. So that's Cassandra. Tyler, some of you may already know. Tyler was the man behind and kind of in front of the curtain of the variety show. We've talked about this a little bit already. I know Mr. Perugino was there that night, so I'm sure you were pretty well entertained. So Tyler came to me with the senior class advisor with this idea for a community event that would also be a fundraiser. And so he's talking about this variety show. And I'm like, this sounds like it's going to be fun. And I'm kind of like the fun limiter. So I'm going to push back a little bit. So I challenged him. I said, this sounds like a really good idea. I need you to put more into this before we can move forward. I need to know that we have some student and staff interest. I want to know kind of how you think this is going to go. And I'm like, oh, this should be pretty heavy. He'll take his energy somewhere else. I was wrong. He came back in, 2 or 3 weeks with this massive project well underway. So I had no choice but to say yes to it. I even had some fun. If it wasn't for the top 20 or so acts that night, I think I would have been the star of the show. But Tyler did a great job facilitating that and organizing it, leading, mentoring some of the other students as part of it. The success was incredible. We had a tremendous amount of community members participate and be involved. And I think we raised over $1,500 for the senior class and over $1,500 for the Angel Fund. So it was a huge success on his part. I have no doubt that the lessons that he learned through that and the skills that he's demonstrated over the last 4 years are going to benefit him tremendously when he goes to UConn next year as a business major. And what he doesn't know until right now is that he's going to have a free tuition next year at UConn because he's officially our valedictorian. Tyler's been asking Mrs. Borda the last couple of days. We stored grades yesterday, but we didn't officialize it till today. There's always a couple of reports we have to look through and double check on. And so nobody else officially knew. I told Mrs. Hurd earlier, and I shared with Mr. Vigilati. But the counselors weren't quite sure, and none of the teachers were quite yet sure. So congratulations.
I'm very jealous of the parents.
Yeah.
I'll say that.
Kayla's going to ask for more money now.
These outstanding students and their parents have been invited to attend the Litchfield County Superintendent's Award Program at the Grand Oak Villa on May 6th. And so they'll join me there and we'll have a nice afternoon. It doesn't end too late. So it'll be nice to see you all there. Before we kind of let you leave, we'd like to take a picture with the board if that's possible to post on our website. So if, we're not going to take a full official break with the Burger King crowd here, but if you could remove your crowns and maybe we could take a quick picture with our superintendent award winners, that would be great.
Come on. Go. Yep. And state your name and address for the record, and we will be happy to hear from you.
Virginia Kane, 18 Adams Drive. I've spoken up before about how I believe there should be more family involvement in terms of families being included in the classroom, awards ceremonies, school and classroom events, celebrating these children's successes, collaborating with families and fostering relationships to make the best possible school atmosphere for our young children at Plymouth Center School. And tonight I'm here again. It has been months since I last spoke. I decided to stop wasting my time coming here to the meetings and instead watch from home, because why am I going to stand up for what I believe in when I'm constantly met with resistance and opposition, and I just end up losing out on time with my children? However, since then, I have talked to more parents, have had people reach out to me about things I have said and share their similar frustrations, have had parents stop me in the PCS parking lot and say, hey, thanks for posting on Facebook. Tell me they appreciate me trying, appreciate me taking a stand, have had other parents reach out to me sharing that they have been met with the same resistance as I have. I could go on and on about the conversations and ways people have reached out to me with the same frustrations in the past few months. While I still have the same frustrations I voiced months ago, tonight I stand here and ask you, one, to direct the superintendent and principal of Plymouth Center School to initiate a kindergarten graduation at Plymouth Center School, and two, to ask yourselves why it took me coming here and why there has been such resistance to have one. Before coming here, I reached out to PCS about kindergarten graduation this year, which I know is not the first year this has been a request. I offered to do whatever it would take to make one happen, and I was told no, we are bringing back teddy bear picnic. I put a poll on Terryville Talks asking if community members thought PCS should have a kindergarten graduation. Hundreds of votes, and the overwhelming response was yes, 89% yes the last time I checked. I also did a Google survey, and the only person who responded that PCS shouldn't have a kindergarten graduation doesn't even have a child at PCS. It is clear parents want a kindergarten graduation. Just because you have a teddy bear picnic doesn't mean you cannot have a graduation. There should be multiple opportunities for families to celebrate their children and witness their accomplishments. And respectively, I'm not talking about volunteering at the school store or book fair or attending bingo, all of things which I have done. One of the reasons I've heard for parents not being able to attend the bucket filler awards or for the limited school celebrations is they do not want kids feeling left out when parents cannot attend. I understand that. After all, I may not be able to attend every event, and I know my husband won't be able to. However, that doesn't mean I want these young children missing out on core memories. Even more important, we are parents. We make things work. We make things happen. I've even heard board members themselves say this exact thing at the last couple of meetings. Another reason I've heard is we've never done that. Quite honestly, that is irrelevant. Just because you haven't done something doesn't mean you can't start doing something. Why be stuck in your ways? There's no reason not to have a kindergarten graduation, especially when you have so many parents wanting one and so many parents who would help. Make a kindergarten graduation happen. You have many parents ready and willing to help, but we just give up and walk away because of the constant resistance we are met with. I'll leave you with some of the comments that were put on the Google survey I did. This is a big milestone for our little ones. Why should it not be celebrated? I went to PCS as a child and remember they did a lot more back when I was a kid. These children nowadays deserve the same or even better. Pre-K4 and kindergarten should have graduations at the end of the year. Kindergarten is an end to the beginning chapters of the school journey. Why should it not be celebrated? Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Erica Lavoy, 2 Magnolia Lane. I am going to address the same exact topic that Virginia just addressed, but in a different manner. So, an email was sent out to the PCS parents about the teddy bear picnic for kindergartners. As most of you know, I was one of the parents that was extremely discouraged last year after the kids at PCS had half days the entire last week of school to learn that not one of those afternoons was used to celebrate our kindergartners, or any of the kids for that matter. Regardless of what you personally may think, whether it's necessary or not necessary, this is something that is regularly practiced in many different districts, and it's something that we are choosing again to not practice or bring forward as a new tradition for whatever reason. I personally don't understand your reasoning behind keeping the traditional event that our district had 10 years ago. I'm here to remind you that the celebration you're resurrecting is not inclusive to some of today's kids. An overwhelming majority of kids are not able to read at a kindergarten level. You can look it up. And if they can read, it's memorization rather than fluency. My older daughter is one of those kids that would have struggled to read a book at a picnic like that. So while I can appreciate the effort that's being made in celebrating our children, I suggest you think hard about the fact that you're bringing back a tradition from 10 years ago when we're not dealing with the same population of children that we had 10 years ago. As I've spoken up about this before, 5% of kids have a learning disability. 1 in 36 has autism. These children no doubt have difficulties reading, so a tradition like you're suggesting is voluntarily choosing to leave those kids out, or more so, put them in a situation to have to do something that they know that they cannot do well, but that other children around them potentially can do well. I'm going to say this again, and I'll say it nicely. I have a very feisty 3-year-old that recently started school at Plymouth Center. I'm not going to settle for a teddy bear picnic celebration when she is finishing kindergarten. Because while I do want to be optimistic, and I will hope and pray and do everything within my power and everything within the power of the team that's working with her at PCS, that she would be able to read at a picnic like that, it's not going to be something that will be very inclusive for her. And she's just one child. However, she's a child that guarantees this district a lot of money. So, based on her disability. So I really, really, really recommend that you go back to the drawing board in regards to that celebration, because you really should. It is not that hard, and you have parents, at least for the next 3 years, you have me. And again, we have a month-old here, so you're going to have me for another 5 years at least. Same thing with Virginia. She has a younger son at home too. We can do better as a district, and our kids deserve better, so please consider giving them better. Thank you.
Melanie Church, 328 Main Street. Here we saw 4 high school kids or 8 high school kids that have accomplished miracles. Maybe this should be a challenge put out to the staff. There's only 17 or 18 kids. How long is it going to take to have a graduation and have it at the end of the day, the last day of school for them? Every child is important no matter what age. And that might cause enthusiasm to come back the next year, because it's something they're being recognized for. When you take a child and you recognize them for something, what do? They light up. And that's every kid. And if other districts are doing it, why can't Plymouth do it? And challenge the staff. You know, and I'm sure a lot of the teachers wouldn't mind doing it. What's it going to take, 45 minutes? But it makes parents happy and kids. Then when you ask, gee, will you join the PTA? You know, yeah, they did for us, you know? And that's the way you get the village to grow. And we need the town to grow. And we need to become a village. not separation of parties or separation of the old against the young. It needs to be all. And I'm going to invite anyone that's interested. I still have the petition going. I'm down to 35. And we can do it. And I believe that's enough to bring through, to bring a village into this.
Anyone else for public comment? Do we have any online comments? Oh, I remember. And there's none, okay. All right, seeing no further public comment, we will move on to the superintendent's update.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to start by welcoming Jerry Bovenier to the Board of Education. I have been fortunate enough to work with Jerry in the past as a former board member when he served, I don't know how many years ago, Jerry, do you remember how many years?
It was 10 or 11?
10 or 11 years. So Jerry's matured a lot, so we're happy to have him back on the board.
But he lost his filter.
The one thing about Jerry that aligns with our current board is that he always puts children in our schools first. And so I'm really happy to be working with Jerry again on our board. So I really look forward to our work together. Yesterday evening, Matt, myself, and Mr. Perugino went to the Board of Finance to discuss the sinking fund and the 3 projects we were requesting as a board to be done, 2 at Plymouth Center and 1 at Fisher Elementary. Just as a reminder, we talked about the catwalk that overlooks the gym, to enclose that for some safety concerns that we have seen there. The price tag on that is $38,535. We also talked about the playground fencing on the right side of Plymouth Center School, where our kindergartners are now going out to play. There's no fence currently that leads up to the parking lot, and putting a fence there for that playground. That's a $7,650 expense. And then the bathroom sinks at Fisher Elementary, which are all exposed underneath. Some are taken off the walls from previous incidents that might have occurred. And these funds are coming out of our sinking fund, our non-lapsing account. They last night the Board of Finance approved all 3 projects, and they gave us an additional 20% contingency if needed on those projects. Anything that we don't use will go right back into that non-lapsing or sinking fund account. Additionally, at last night's meeting, we had to discuss the revisions to the non-lapsing account or the sinking fund account per the state statute. With the former statute, the town had a larger role in making decisions about the non-lapsing account, especially in terms of deposits and what we would spend our money on. With the revised statute that was revised on May 21st of 2024, the town's involvement has been removed from the process, leaving all decisions regarding the account to the local school board. I would say through our conversation, and I don't know if either of you would disagree, that the Board of Finance felt a little uncomfortable with the statute change. They knew it wasn't our doing, but they were a little uncomfortable. So we discussed creating some sort of an agreement between the Board of Finance and the Board of Education that will continue the reasoning and the rationale of why we've used that account in the past for projects that deal with like infrastructure and emergency purposes only. And we also spoke to them about bringing these projects to them to discuss with them, not to have approval, but to discuss with them prior to doing anything, just so we're working together still with the statute that's in place. And I plan on talking to you more about this and a possible agreement in executive session. On, I got a lot more.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I just started.
Woo!
I got a presentation. I'm going up there in a moment.
Boy.
On March 17th, Matt and I met with the interim superintendent, the business manager, and the transportation director from the Waterbury Public Schools for our Waterbury Magnet School transportation concern that we're dealing with. At the meeting, we discussed transportation budgets and the current outdated agreement between both districts. At this point in time, I'm waiting to hear back from the interim superintendent on if Waterbury will be able to support and assist the Plymouth families in transportation to the magnet schools. So Waterbury is looking at possible solutions. He has just not gotten back to our parents and or us with regard to what those could be. As you're aware, we're in the middle of conducting a school climate study across all 4 of our schools. Our goal is to survey all of the students, all of the faculty, and as many parents as possible as we sent it out to them and a reminder to them to gather information to help develop individual school climate improvement plans. The plan I have is sharing the themes found within those surveys with the board and the individual school climate plans with the board prior to summer break. That's the hope of what we're going to do here. So gather the information from all the stakeholders. Some of the student responses are quite amusing, but overall, that's what the plan is, to get you the information of what our parents, students, and faculty are feeling about our schools. I would also like to update the board on where we are with their 2025-2026 budget. I did this last evening with the Board of Finance, and I feel that the board should see the same information that the Board of Finance saw last night. So do you guys have that? Does you pull up real quick? So just since the last time we spoke about budget, there's been some things that have changed and some more expenses being taken on. But I wanted to show you the budget increases across other towns on average. Superintendent recommended budget as of today is 5.6%. And the average Board of Education adopted budget by boards of education is at 5.31. There are some towns that approve budgets, but there's not enough to show what those numbers are at this time. So that's where we are. And this is a reminder of my original budget is equal to top. And then the Board of Education working position factor, we're at 4.23 right now. So we're still well under both of those numbers. I think it's important to point out the contractual increases within the current budget. You've seen this before. This hasn't really changed. Matt and I really touched this slide. But I think it's important to stress that our bills, staying with everything as is, are going up $1.7 million. Those are all expenses that we can't control to our operating costs. So that is more than normal, and more than the average. And it's what we're all doing. And it's not just our school system. This is across the state right now, and that's why budgets are coming in as high as they are, because it's very hard to function and keep your staffing and your programs intact if you have that type of increase that you can't control. And looking at, sorry it's so small, but I have a copy of this bill. I don't know if you want to pick it up. It's smaller than how we expected. I don't know why I put the screws over the line. Wasn't the budget.
Big
budget increase eliminates 2 full-time positions and 5 part-time positions. There's 7 positions in our budget that are being eliminated right now. In addition, we're eliminating a number of other things, including administrative workdays, transportation, or Madison Street transportation, so on and so forth. We're moving money for salaries into grants to cover people, our most important asset working in our schools and working for our kids. But right now, our budget elimination equals $678,568. So again, that's 7 positions and a number of others. This is where we stand right now. We also talked about adding 2 positions to the budget. We talked about evening security here at the high school that we put in place now based on circumstances and situations. And we talked about how we're going to eliminate the position of the teacher as a full-time position and use contracted services for the students that need that service. We can save about $55,000 to $60,000 is what our expectation is for savings there. So while it's an addition to a savings on the teacher of the real school addition. Time's up. But really, the true addition is teachers. We also, in creating the budget, Matt, myself, and the administrative team pulled out one-time purchases. And we looked at other things that we could pull out to try to lower our budget for things that we actually need. One, as everyone knows, because Matt reports on it every month, that we have school lunches that we're responsible for paying. And so that's about we're assuming it's going to be about $16,000 based on where we're trending right now at the end of the school year. We also took out some technology infrastructure items. That's our server and the switches that go on our server. So we pulled that out. It's pretty important for us. But we were hoping that funds left over at the end of the year would be able to purchase some of these items. And we also have the middle school reading program that we spoke about earlier today in our community. So those pieces, it looks like we'll be able to, at the end of the year, possibly purchase at the end of the year possibly. It's a district-wide phone hardware upgrade that we're concerned about. Because right now, when we're setting our phones, possibly 2 times a week, because they're failing in this time for the upgrade. And the technology is outdated, to be honest. And also, we were looking for some sort of better technology with regard to the board education setup. I mean, this morning, right before, or this afternoon, right before we came on, we found out a camera wasn't working. We were trying to move around how we can cover it. We wanted to this is more of a wish item. We want to more set up a permanent setting job with microphone cameras. So when we present out to the public, it's clearer for them as well. It's easier for them to access. But you see what we pulled out of the budget. Some of the stuff is very important. I would say the board of education is important. Hardware is probably not as important, but everything else is important for us to operate. Those are out of the budget. So here's our budget. This is what it looks like. It shows you what our current operating budget is.
There.
I can't see that. The current report of that operating budget, the original submitted budget, the budget eliminations that we have in place, the excess cost reimbursement, and then the budget additions. And you see where we fall at 4.33 for our budget. But there are some new concerns. As you see on the bottom, it says new concerns. They're pretty significant concerns, to be honest with you. Unexpected items that we did not budget and weren't planning on budgeting that have been brought to us. When Matt and I created the budget, we decided to take a little bit of a risk. We had a cap on our health and benefits and insurance at 11%. We were hoping it would come in more at around 9%. But we were wrong. I'd like to blame Matt for this one, but I'll take some of the blame as well, probably 25-75. But it came in at about $100,000 more than we were expecting or hoping for. So that will be added onto additional eliminations and cuts that we'll have to make. We also had an employee that had a life-changing circumstance, and so they were not on medical benefits, but because they had a life-changing circumstance, they're now on our family plan. So that's a $35,000 increase to our budget. And then we have a special education student that we are looking to possibly outplace, and the tuition and the transportation would be approximately $175,000. And then, as of yesterday, we received an update on Waterbury's special education services for our students that attend the magnet schools that we send them to, and some of their prices doubled for us. We have no control over that. They give us this bill after our budget's already created. So we start in a deficit, and that's why there's a question mark there, because all of our outplacements, whether it be Oliver, Wilkett, Mogo, Lakeview now, the magnet schools, they change those fees, and we can't do anything really about it. So that's a question mark on how much that's going to go up. But right now, in that chart underneath is probably the most important piece of any slide. It says the impact of receiving the mayor's recommended 2.85% increase in our budget, and with the unexpected items that were not budgeted in this budget, even after cutting the 2 full-time teachers, the 5 part-time teachers, and all of those items in our budget, including transportation, all those things, we still need to cut approximately $706,000 out of our budget. That is really, really significant. That's a big number. And when you look at the bottom line, we currently have already cut those positions, and we've cut $678,586 out of our budget. We're going to do an additional $705,901 if the mayor's recommended budget of 2.85 goes through. This is 6 to 7 more full-time employees on our staff. Additionally, the police department is looking to possibly cut our SRO. So they have 1 position to cut, and they're cutting the resource, the most important resource for safety, to our school with their choice of cuts. Very, very difficult for us and for me to hear. And we brought in a lot of great programs. STEM programming in our elementary schools, library media in our elementary schools. We brought in our wood shop and tech ed department back into the middle school. Family and consumer science back into the middle school. We brought in and revised our career center, our culinary program. We've done so many things. If this is the trend we're going to have, where we're cutting 14 to 15 positions a year, people want choice at our high school of courses they could take and electives they can take, and they want choice at our middle school where kids should be exploring what's out there for them. This makes us get to the point where we could only offer what we could afford to offer. We have requirements with regard to special education. We have class sizes that we're worried about. We have our reading program and our math program at our elementary, where we're rebuilding the foundation and how we're moving through our school system. And we have to start prioritizing when we have to make these cuts, and it's very, very challenging. As I said to the Board of Finance last night, something has to give, because this can't be what it is every year, where the Board of Ed, while we have a $27 million budget, we can't be taking these types of hits, because, as I've shown in my presentation, in my original presentation, you see where the positions are. There's nothing else for us to really give without impacting class sizes or programs. And so this trend has to stop. And we have to figure out how we can work with the town to do that. And with that, I wanted the board to know, and I wanted the public to know, that the decision on our final number for the budget is going to be made by our town council on April 21st at 6 o'clock in the community room at Town Hall. The town council does set our budget. The recommendation by the mayor is the recommendation by the mayor. The recommendation by the Board of Finance is the recommendation by the Board of Finance. The town council is the one that sets that budget. So we have, after that meeting, after we receive our budget from the town council, we have scheduled a special Board of Education meeting the evening of April 23rd at 5 o'clock in the Terryville High School Library to discuss any additional budget cuts that for position eliminations that we might need to make. I am meeting with our administrative team on the 22nd. I'm trying to move through this process quickly out of respect to the employees that might lose their jobs, because the sooner they know that we're not having them back based on budgetary concerns, the sooner they can get out looking for positions. These are people's lives. So the town council meeting happens on the 21st. I meet with my administrative team on the 22nd. I meet with the board on the 23rd. And I'm hoping that we can have our budget all set by then so we can inform these people if there's any additional of their positions being eliminated. And I'm sorry, my presentation one isn't as good as the high school one or the superintendent award one, but it's just a reality of where we are. And finally, as a reminder, the school district will be closed April 14th through April 18th for our April break. And that's all I have to say. Sorry to be so long-winded.
That's okay. All right, we are now on to item number 10, unfinished business. Item A, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the 2026-2027 school year calendar as presented.
So moved. Second.
Greg, and who was the second? Mr. Foote? Any discussion on that?
I do.
Yes.
All right, so when I looked at it, we're gonna start 2 weeks before Labor Day. We're gonna start the 24th, I believe it is?
25th is when the kids start.
Well, I have here the 24th.
The 19th and 20th are our convocation and teacher professional development.
Correct.
The teachers would not were completely closed, not the district, but the teachers wouldn't report on the 21st. The 24th would be another teacher PD day, and the kids would start the 25th. And Jerry, the reason why we did that is off of the teachers and the administrators coming to me saying that a 5-day week for the kids to start off the year was too much, and so we pushed the whole calendar off that day. It aligns with next year's calendar.
Okay, so the concern that I have is that we're technically going 2 weeks before Labor Day. Because Labor Day is the 7th of September.
Correct.
Okay. As most of you know, I'm a Terrible Lion, and I called some individuals from the Terrible to find out when our fair was going to be, which is going to be the 28th, 29th, and 30th. And I know the Board of Ed, well, not the Board of Ed, but there's certain organizations in the high school that have booths at the fairgrounds. Okay, and I know usually when the custodians come up and maintenance come up at the time, usually it's a last minute thing that they're coming up before the fair, because they've tried to get everything ready for the schools and stuff. So my own concern is that kids starting 2 weeks before Labor Day, and there's a lot of things going on in many legislatures throughout the country that they would like to see schools start after Labor Day. And we're going to start going 2 weeks before. And because of the fact of the amount of time that we need, well, not only the time, but the students that come up to the fair to help us with the fair, which helps us out tremendously. I just have some concerns.
Anybody else?
Are you proposing like a half day on Friday, the 28th, or are you looking to start on the 31st or the 1st actually, or?
Jerry, I just want to
This
point
is-
out one thing to you, too, because we, at the last meeting, the board approved the 25-26 calendar revisions. This is the, not next year,
Yes, I
but the
know.
following. I just want to make sure you know.
No, I know,
So-
don't worry about it. That's why I made some phone calls, because when I looked at it, it's like, should we, when I spoke to somebody from the Lions, they're like, well, do they understand the amount of input that we need from the students that need to come and help us, specifically in the food booth, and also when they have their own booths there, are these kids going to be able to manage not only, because if they're going to be coming to school on the 28th, that means that at 4 o'clock when the fair opens, they're going from high school to the fair. And then,
They're 16.
yes,
Yeah, they're,
I get it, Karen, okay?
no problem with that.
I get it. The thing is that, I mean, me personally, I think it's a week too early. That's my personal interpretation, because of the fact, usually when Labor Day is late, we usually go to the last week of August into September. Now we're just going a week ahead, and I think personally, I think it's a little too early. But, and I also look at that, if you do that, then you're gonna look at at the last day of school being the 14th instead of the 7th. If you were to move it.
Right now, it's the 8th.
Well, that's also not.
I know, he means if we move it, it would go. over.
Yeah, but right now, the last day of school is the 8th.
Yeah.
I think you have the wrong calendar.
I have no idea, it's got a red mark on mine, it says 7th, and it says tentative last day of school.
Again, Pat just learned how to highlight, so let's cut our.
All right, so I guess I didn't get the revised edition.
It's just you're one day off. It's everything
Yeah,
slide.
I get it, but I understand that, so, I mean, that's only my concern, all right? I mean, personally, I don't have any kids in the school system, but I'm just looking at it from a viewpoint of, an outside entity that technically, utilizes the kids in this town and in this high school for something that goes on that's a staple in this town for the last 77 years. Okay, so that's it. I mean, that's my input.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I think was part of the reason for starting early so we could get that full February break off, which is really important to break the cycle of illness in the middle of winter.
It is. I mean, we don't in our district, we don't give off for the Jewish holidays as they would in other districts and or other holidays that are now being given off or in other schools. When I say off, I mean students off. We built it into February break because we built it around that President's Day. And it's one of those, I think it's one of those breaks that our teachers and students appreciate based on not only illness, but on just the time of the year and needing to take a breath. So, I mean, that's built in there. Again, if we're going to move the calendar over, it's really up to the board of how you want to go about that. I think this is the normal, if I'm not mistaken, Pat, you have been here longer than me. This is a kind of where we always start, correct? Right around that date. So I don't know if Labor Day, I don't know what happened with the calendar or why it's different, but this is our normal start date. It's nothing unusual to start at that time for us. So.
Point, counterpoint, agree to disagree.
Ultimately, it's just up to the board of what you want to do. I mean, this is the recommended calendar that our administrative team and myself are bringing forward to the board. But if there are things that, there are concerns from board members with regard to timing and the impact it could have on the town and community, we're going to school 180 days. So we'll figure out when those are going to be.
Anybody else have a thought on that? What do you think?
Well, I'm not sure that we need to get into the details, but the administrative team sets up the schedule for the year think we should rely on that and not get into details.
Okay. Anyone else?
I agree with Dick. Team set it up, go with what, they run the school, we don't.
I think our students are also quite skilled at multitasking with playing sports and other volunteer commitments they have. But I'm all for an early dismissal, an extra early dismissal on a Friday. Perfect school.
What does that have to do with you? You're not getting up early.
Well, my kids will like me.
I wonder too, honestly, I wonder if it might
Helpful to get a little extra
make it a
time.
little easier for people who organize the volunteers, since the kids are already back in school. Usually, if they're not, I don't know how they organize the volunteers.
It's
Right.
a challenge every year.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, but they'll already be here, so that part might be a little easier. Yeah, well,
Again, a half day is something that, I try not to put the half days in because it's a hardship on parents. But if, not so much the high school parents, but the elementary parents, we try to limit the number
Yeah.
of, with the parent conferences and some PD days, we have to build those in. But if that's something that the board would feel is appropriate, whatever we want to do.
I think it's kind of a small handful of students to affect the entire district. I'm sure that the students that really want to be there and help, maybe they would just get permission to leave school early to be there, community service hours or something, I don't know, but.
I mean, honestly, they get out of school, what, 2-ish? 2:12, and the fair isn't opening until 4. So,
On average, how many students do we have that actually work the fair?
Throughout a weekend, it's pretty significant.
well, yeah.
I'm talking just for that Friday night.
There's a lot of prep work. I think Jerry's right. I mean, when we pull our booths out of the storage, they need some sprucing up. So sometimes it's paint, sometimes it's just cleaning. It takes a while, but you usually have some parents and students out there taking care of it. And I don't know the number. We have like 3 booths, I want to say, Jerry.
Yes.
And so we'll have, one's a music booth, and so we'll
Actually,
have them out.
no, it's 2 now. I think,
Lemonade.
Potatoes and lemonade.
Yes, they got rid of pretzels.
I never thought I'd be talking about this at a board.
Yeah, whatever, but they got rid of pretzels, but there's 2 now.
So, but I mean, again, we're going to accommodate for that with the students that need to be there, and we'll take care of that. I mean, again, I would think we do every year, but I understand what you're saying, where.
You'll have to accommodate your maintenance staff too, because usually they're last minute.
Okay, Matt?
Sure, it's right. It's right. Is the first focus for our custodial staff is the buildings, and the fair with where it's held now it is something that we have to build into the schedule, but it is typically one of those things that's last minute. It's done a couple days before the fair actually opens, and we get them up. But we get them up every year.
Yeah. All right, ready to vote? What do you think? Good. All right, so we have a motion on the floor to approve the school year calendar as presented. Had discussion. I will take the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Jerry? Any abstentions? Okay, motion carries. All right, now we are on to our second read of the modified policies and the new policy. This is a possible motion item here. Should we make the motion before the discussion or just discuss it first? Okay, so we're going to go ahead and open up the policies to discussion. These are the policies that we got before that are now on a second read.
I have a question.
Sure.
For the bylaws for 2 years, what about if we shorten it to like a year or 6 months? Because for an example, you never know if a position might open up in the middle of the year, and for somebody to have to wait a full 2 years, like somebody like Jerry has already been on the board and is very familiar with policies and stuff like that. So maybe instead of it being 2 years, it's 6 months or a year, so this way, if a position opens up midterm, there could be a possibility for somebody else being elected.
If something ever happens in this, all the senior members of the Board of Education couldn't return. The next board is screwed. They couldn't vote for anybody.
Well, we don't ever have all new board members.
Yeah, I know, just in case it did happen. There's always a possibility.
And if I may interject.
Of course, this is discussion.
Let's say, for instance, let's say this year 5 members are up for election, okay? The 5 members that are up for election decide they don't want to run, right? So now you're going to get 5 new people that are on, and it doesn't matter whether they're Democrats or Republicans, all right? Those individuals come in. The remaining 4, none of them want to be the board chair. You know, even though they're eligible because you put it in your policy that you have to be on the board for at least 2 years, okay? What if they don't want to do? Now, then what do you do? You know, you're putting a policy in effect.
We are putting.
Yeah, okay, well, okay.
Not me, it's not my policy.
Well, I use the wrong adjective, sorry. So we are gonna put a policy in effect where down the road, it could be something, it's the old what if situation, but when you get to the what if, then what do? Because there are some people, and they don't want, they want to come here, sit here, do what they need to do. They don't want any, I call them headaches, okay? All they want to do is just, I'm on the Board of Education, I'm there to fight for education in this town and for kids, but I don't want to be in the forefront.
Know anybody who's been like that for how many years?
Well, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
There are.
First time I'm sitting in this seat, isn't it?
And it's a great place to be. So if you get into a situation where you have 5 new board members and the 4 board members that get to the point where, hey, I like sitting where I'm sitting, I don't want to be where I'm in, now you're going to be in a situation where your policy tells you got to have somebody that has 2 years of experience. All right? And then the other part of the policy is when you have to be there for 70%. I'll use in my own reference when I used to work for the city of Bristol. Okay, between November and March would be a tough time for me because I work in public works and I deal with snow. Okay, I go in on a Tuesday morning at 7 o'clock. We have a big snowstorm comes. I get home at 3 o'clock in the afternoon on a Wednesday because I just put in a 32-hour day. I'm more than likely going to bed.
Right, but if you have the potential to miss 5 months in a row, do you think you should be in the leadership position?
I'm not saying that, okay?
Yeah, you absolutely are saying that.
Okay, so, but there are issues that you have to take into consideration.
Yes.
There is a possibility that, and believe me, Pat, you know, back when you were the board chair, we had a gentleman, and this is when I first came on the board when Dr. Nastasi was here. We had a gentleman that was on the board that would leave, and you might have been there too, Karen. I'm not really sure, and I don't remember what his name is. I know you would know his name. But he was on the board, but he would leave right after the October meeting, and he would go down to Florida. And he wouldn't come back until more than likely the May meeting.
I know what you're talking about. I don't remember his name either, but I know who you're talking about.
Right, and I know for a fact that he was on, when I was on the board, because I got appointed and then I got elected, so I think he was on the board in that 6 years that I was there. So even with that individual, if he decided that he wanted to be in your share, and
you would want that?
But I'm just saying, the thing is that I get what the board is trying to do, okay? The issue that I'm having is that, what are you gonna do if you get into the position where, let's say, for instance, I'll use this as an example, myself who's retired now, and if I were hypothetically in your seat, and my wife decides that we're going to Florida for the next 5 months, all right, and so does that mean that I hypothetically should resign that position?
Don't you think?
How would the meeting run if you're in Florida and you don't have meetings for 5 months?
The vice chairman does.
That's what the vice chair is
Hey,
for. But I'm just,
Just to
I'm
clarify, if you're on remote, you are here at the meeting. So I know that, Michelle, there was a number of meetings where she was remote. She was present because she was remote into the meeting. When we talk about, that's new. So you can, as a board member, log in and be remote into a meeting.
Okay, all right, all right.
So I just wanted to clarify that.
You know, I'm just.
No, I know,
going like
you're
the
throwing
old
some
style.
stuff out there, I get it.
But, you know, look, I have a white, I have a white one, everybody else is, you know, but, you know, when I'm reading this, I'm not, I come to board meetings when I can, you know, I sit in the back, I listen, and then I leave. So I'm just asking questions, hypothetically, what could happen? So if there's a situation where hypothetically an individual who's retired and whose wife decides they want to go, if they can do it remotely, well, there you go. All right, you have, like this evening, if somebody was on remotely and wanted to ask a question, wow, that's a really nice choice for somebody who just can't come to a meeting. All right, so.
I actually did some research on this. There's no law backing this up in the state of Connecticut. And I also found out that a lot of boards of education who have instituted this are losing in court when it's been challenged in court.
And again, if someone wants to challenge us in court, what I could tell you is, working, and obviously things that go through our attorneys as well. The board has a right to set up bylaws to protect themselves from things. So the bylaws a board sets up can be geared specifically towards the Board of Education. This board made the decision that the 2 years of consecutive service was important to this board, and that was voted in. So when we're talking about the 2 years of consecutive service, that's a policy that's in place currently right now. What we're discussing is what's in blue in the policies with the 70% of the regular schedule of Board of Education meetings in each of their 2 previous years of service in order to be eligible. That's the new component of the current policy that's in place. That's the revision taking place. Everything else is current policy. If the concerns of the policy of the 2 consecutive years, that would then be a discussion for the policy subcommittee to have to make a revision to that bylaw. If the concern is about the 70% eligibility and that is felt that it's not appropriate, then again, it would go back to the the policy subcommittee for them to talk about and make revisions to that. They might move the number up to 80%. They might take the number out completely. They might adjust this whole policy to a 6-month period or a 9-month period or whatever period they feel is appropriate and bring it back to the board. And it comes back to the board. But until there's a decision made on the 2 consecutive years, that's current board policy that we have in place. But this does not mean that the revision has to be accepted this evening by the board. It can get kicked back to the policy subcommittee. And it doesn't mean that the 2-year consecutive term, even though it was just put into place at our last meeting or the prior meeting before, I think it was January's meeting. It doesn't mean that that can't be shifted either, going back to the subcommittee if there's concerns with regard to it. I just wanted to clarify those things. But Greg, to your point, yes, there are different laws out there, and I'm aware of the laws, but this board has a right to put in protections that are legal and reasonable to obtaining and upholding the integrity of the board.
Right,
So,
I'm not,
so that,
I'm
that's,
just
that's
saying
my-
that.
absolutely.
The research I did, I found a lot of school boards, if they had been sued on this, they're losing in court.
I don't know if Shipman would agree with that. I would go back to them on that with the policy, again, if we needed to, but, again, I do know that the board has right to bylaws.
I just want to clarify on my understanding of what bylaws are, that these are not laws that come from the state or from anywhere. These are kind of like our governing principles that we agree as a board to abide by. So, and I think like just for me personally, and I know for many of you here, we're here every month, we show up and we're committed to doing the work. And I think that's really important because if there's one thing that is consistent in education is that it constantly changes. And when you miss meeting after meeting after meeting, a lot of things can fall through the cracks. Like you hear every month we have curriculum, we have new laws and regulations that seem to change every 10 minutes coming out of the state. We have safety concerns, we have facilities, pipes breaking, and all kinds of like crises that come up all the time. So whether there's a specific number in the policy or not, I think as adults who are elected by members of the community to represent them and to be advocates for our children, like it shouldn't even need to be said that obviously you should be here as much as you possibly can, barring, of course, everybody gets sick or has in family emergencies or breaks their leg or, you know, like all kinds, has a surgery, like things come up. But I think if the mentality is like, barely 70%, like that's, you know, that's fine. I just think as adults and people who represent our community and these kids, they deserve to have people who are committed to showing up for them. And if I'm misunderstanding what the bylaws are, those are more like our commitments to this board and to the community that this is how we're going to govern ourselves. And I could be misunderstanding what bylaws are, but that was kind of like how I understood it. Thought that this is like a state thing. This is like we agree as members of this board to show up for each other and to show up for our students in this community. So, I mean, I just think it's important to be here, whether it's in a policy or not.
To be quite honest with you, that's what we're elected to do when you run for office. If you're gonna run for the Board of Education and say, oh, I'll go there when I can, I don't know how many votes you're gonna get, to be honest with you. That's how I feel about it. I mean, you accept the position, do the job. You don't do the job, find somebody else. Sounds harsh, but that's the way it should be.
Well, and to be clear, we're not kicking anybody
No,
off
no, I
the Board of
understand that.
Education if
I
we're not here.
understand that.
That's not legal.
It's, yeah, we're not telling
The only
them they
people who can do
can't
that are
be
the ones that
here.
vote.
We're
That's
just
not-
saying
that's not legal.
that perhaps a better position for someone who isn't here 70% of the time would be just a member and not a member of the leadership part of Board of
You're
Education.
dealing with $27 million budget, you know. Just like Kelly said, things happen every day. You got 68,000 gallons of water pouring down Eli Terry. You know, I mean, this board should understand what's going on down there. What we're trying to do, what Matt's trying to do down there, Brian's trying to. You have to be there to check that stuff, you know.
So then why do
If
you
you're
need a
not gonna attend
policy?
the meeting, pardon me?
And why do you need a policy for that? Everybody here is, and I know it for my own self, I'll speak for only my own self. I know that when I was either appointed or elected, I knew that it was for me to do a due diligence to get to every single meeting I need to, because like Kelly said, you never ever know what's gonna go on at a board meeting. So why now do you all of a sudden have to have a policy to tell you that if you don't come to 70% of the meeting, you can't be you can't be one of either the chairman, the vice chair, or the secretary? Why do you need that? That should come right from the board chair, who has to speak to the individual who's not showing up. You know, if you can't show up, then do yourself a favor and go to whichever town committee you're on, okay, and tell them that you have to resign. Because we need people, what would happen if all of a sudden everybody had the attitude, so what? It's a board meeting tonight, what do I care? If you don't have a quorum, well, you can't have a meeting. So if you, what is it to have a quorum meeting? You need 5? Okay. What happens if you showed up one night and there was only 4 people showed up? Okay, that's a total disservice to being on the Board of Education. Total disservice as the 4 individuals didn't show up. And if they did it 3 or 4 months in a row, where you can't have, that's up to the board chair to talk to those individuals and ask them, respectfully and out of common courtesy, that if you don't want to be here, then do yourself a favor and talk to your town chairs, okay, for your town committees, and tell them that, unfortunately, I can't do it. All right? So in all honesty, Pat, my own personal opinion is that sometimes you have to use peer pressure for some individuals. And you have to just tell them that, look, we get it. At some point in time, you wanted to be on the Board of Ed, or you wanted to be on a town council, you wanted to be on whatever you wanted to be on. But if you can't serve, then do us all a favor, all right? Especially the individuals that show up. Swallow your pride, go to whomever you need to talk to, put in your resignation so that they can put somebody on whatever board it is, whether it's, the Board of Education, the town council, whatever, and then, so we can move on and get business done. Because if you can't get business done, then it's not worth, if you can't show up for a meeting because you can't make a commitment, then it's up to you as an individual to realize that I need to step up and just say I can't do it anymore.
Or if they don't step up?
Then they get voted out next time.
Pardon me?
Then they get voted out the next time.
So you'll sit there with one person that's not showing up. I mean, you're always gonna have a quorum. I really believe that.
No, I
really
get
believe
it.
you're gonna have a
I
quorum.
get it, Pat. I understand.
But, there's subcommittees and everything else that we have to do that stuff.
That was my concern, is that if we are having people who are not showing up for the at bare minimum of 70% at these meetings, when I first got on the board, and I don't know how long it was happening, our subcommittees weren't meeting. And I don't know why that was, because I came on after that had started, but at least for the first year I was on this board, we had no policy, no curriculum, few finance meetings, and that's actually a violation of our bylaws because we're supposed to meet regularly. So, and I think, again, this is our due diligence. We are adults, and we need to make sure that when we choose people for leadership roles, that they are going to be people that show up and that put in the extra time. When you're on the board, yes, some people will just come to this meeting, but other people are on multiple committees or have multiple liaison commitments and do a lot of extra. So those are the people we should look to in the leadership roles, not the people who think it's okay to barely show up 70% of the time. I don't know, I just think my personal self, I show up all the time as much as I can unless I'm deathly ill or something's wrong with my kids. And I understand that many people do that. So, whether it's a policy or not, I think we as adults who are responsible for the lives of 1,200 children in this community, they deserve to have us be here to do the work.
Anyone have any discussion about this policy or any other policy that we have before us? Yeah, go ahead.
I didn't get this packet till yesterday.
Okay.
So I was doing some enormous reading this morning. Okay. We're doing something with cell phones? That's cell phone policy?
Yeah, this is cell phone policy.
Okay. So, and just watching the news or I know the governor right now has been advocating for school systems to have a cell phone policy where they put the cell phones in some type of pack.
Gender pack.
Some schools have that, yeah.
Okay. So that's his big thing right now, because he's feeling that cell phones are a huge distraction.
And he's going to buy them for all the districts, right?
Don't count on it.
Who's going to pay for that? Sorry. I know.
I get it.
Yeah.
Like one of those unfunded
Yeah.
things. Like, please, please, please. Okay? I don't want to mandate it to you, all right? But please, on your own volition, can you please do this?
Buy this.
I get it. I get it. We all read between the lines, okay? Sometimes when you read between the lines, sometimes you get the wrong line.
Yeah.
Okay? But I think New Haven just did, I thought I want to see, maybe last month I saw the mayor of New Haven is instituting that backpack thing. Okay, and then from what I was reading, I guess evidently, if we enact this policy, the students are gonna have to put their phones in their backpack. Is that correct?
That's
The
the younger students.
Barry, do you have the copy that has the red and the blue? Because the stuff in, the items in black are our current policy. We just revised the elementary, we just separated the elementary, middle, and high school in October.
Do you wanna look at my copy, Jerry? Where it's
So I don't know if you
color-coded?
have.
Oh, I had the wrong calendar.
I'll take the blame.
I'll take it. I had the wrong calendar.
Yeah, but we just, what we did with our policy is.
All right, just hold on.
We broke it up to elementary, middle, and high school.
Hold on. What, which policy am I looking at?
5031.
P5031.
Oh, yeah, yours is color coded.
Yeah, I know, but my, what you call, my calendar was color coded too. All right. All right, so where do we start here? I just wanted to make sure I'm on the first page. Okay, cool.
It should
All
say
right.
use of private technology devices by students. That should be the policy.
Yeah, so I have like stuff like this, it's all red, blue.
Yep.
you know,
So
like
the
that.
black is original wording. The red is what we're changing. We changed off of Shipman and Goodwin's recommendations to laptops and e-readers and getting off radios, personal audio players, CD players, walkie-talkies. They recommend taking it. These are all Shipman's recommendations, but when it comes to the actual use of private-owned technology devices, where it says cell phones and earbuds, the elementary, middle, and high school is a section where Shipman leaves for schools to put in what they believe will work for their schools. And so Torrington, for example, would have something with those bags that we're talking about. For our school and for our district, we felt this was the most appropriate to put in place, and that didn't change in the update of the policy. Well, that did change in the update of the policy, but not in this version. Changed in October.
Okay, so my concern and my question is that we have a governor right now who is advocating that we, the kids in any school system, and he's not basically mandating it, he's just, his recommendation is that every school system should be looking at it because of this distraction with those phones and that Faraday bad thing. But evidently, we as a board are just gonna basically stay status quo, and everybody is gonna be on the honor system to put their phones in their backpack. And if they need them in the classroom, then it's gonna be up to the teacher to ascertain and let the student know that today is the day where you can use the phone, tomorrow is the day that you don't use your phone. Is that correct?
Barry, what I'll tell you is there's a reality. I was a high school principal for 11 years. Unless you put a jammer on this school, cell phones are going to be an issue in every high school.
Okay, right.
Just like vaping will be an issue in every high school. I mean, I could put my head in the sand. It's not true. Like, this stuff is going to happen. You can have those packs, and they're going to put their burner phone in the pack, and they're going to have their real phone on them, and they're going to go to the bathroom where they have privacy, and they're going to go on their phone. That's what's happening in Torrington. That's happening. And has it improved because they can't be out in the cafeteria and the kids could converse more? Absolutely. Because in public areas, the phones are out. But if we're in any sort of under any sort of impression that for 95% of those kids, that real cell phone is going in that bag and it's not a burner phone or an extra phone, I think we're kidding ourselves. I just heard the governor speak at a conference, I'd say 2 or 3 weeks ago, and he was talking about this unfunded mandate initiative that he wants to bring into place. And it's a great unfunded mandate initiative. And the company was actually there. And we had someone speaking on the use of cell phones and the harm of cell phones from little children all the way up through high school and what it does to them. And he basically made a comment, this author, about that company and the reality of how much it really stops cell phone use. So I think this is a more realistic approach to the problem of cell phones in class. They're not allowed out in class. Teachers have to take those phones if they see them out in class. And it has improved significantly here at this high school that I've seen in my walkthroughs. And it's truly not a significant issue at the middle school at this time because most of the kids are putting them in their lockers. Do we catch some kids? Yeah. It's one of those impossible things to completely eliminate in any sort of high school without jamming the signal, which is illegal, during the school day and then unjamming it after the school day is over. We did that and gave them no connection to the internet. They would have maybe some games they could play on them, but the communication stops. And then you know what they'll do? On their Chromebooks, they'll start chats on their Chromebooks with their friends. I've been a high school principal for 11 years before doing this. They're going to outsmart you every time, and by the time you catch up, it's already 3 months in advance, and they're on to their next plan. So we can look at bags that the governor is going to recommend to us and not fund. I said it a few times for some people in the audience that he's not funding this. But this is what our administration, again, I'll go back to Mr. Foote. Our administration made this recommendation. They felt this was appropriate for their schools. They felt it was appropriate for the kids they're working with and reasonable to really take care of in the school to get the distractions out of the most critical time where the students should be respecting the teacher without a phone out and giving them their full attention. Study halls, you want to have your phone out, to me, it's one of those things we do. And if you want to have it out in lunch, we're going to treat our students like young adults, just like we would treat all of you like adults. Your phone's out now. And if you get a text, most likely you're going to look at it. Well, in class, keep it away. After class, if you're in the hall, you want to walk around, half the time it's their parents texting them during the day. This is just a realistic policy, but if the board wants to make a decision to go to these bags, we could look at possible grants for them. But I'm assuring you, being a high school principal for 11 years and having 2 high school age daughters, or one's in college now, that there's no way in the world there are real phones going in that bag.
Are you having issues with the policy as we have put it into place with the teachers? Because from the teachers I've spoken to, they set clear expectations. The kids know the phones have to be away, and if they get caught with them, they may or may not end up with a detention.
Yeah, I mean, we're putting in the appropriate protocols to support the policy. And
Are
the
kids
teachers
not following the policy?
No, teachers are following the policy. And this kind of a shift takes time. My former high school, before I got there, the principal got an intercom. All kids are allowed to use cell phones starting today because it's one-to-one devices in school. It took me 2 years to reinstill with those teachers and reset the expectation of phones are not allowed in class. And you have to work with high school students. You have to work with them. And being fair in the cafeteria and in the hallways in between switching times and possibly study halls, not structured study halls where they've earned the right with their grades to be in the cafeteria, I think is very reasonable. But we're not having issues with it at this time.
Well, thank you for the explanation.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to get out so that people who are either watching or understanding or read what's going on, the reason why the policy is here and how it's being interpreted and read is because of what you just said. Because I haven't lived in the dark ages. I have kids too, all right? All right, even though they're adults now, but I will guarantee you if they went whatever school they were in, oh yeah, I would find some phone all of a sudden like, where'd this phone come from? Oh, that's my school phone. I know that as a parent, okay? I get it. I just want to make sure that everybody else, because we get these policies, okay, and the people are like, how can you write? Well, Unless you want to read all these policies, great, but it's always nice to explain to people, and I didn't really want to put you on the spot.
No, it's okay.
But I thank you very much for the information that you garnered so people understand that even though you, as much as the governor wants to get rid of the distraction, it's not happening. Okay, it's not. Because like anything else, kids will be kids. And once one kid figures out how to do it, he lets everybody know. But thank you.
I just want to say one more thing, Jerry. Out of all of our board policies, there might be 4 or 5 in total that are not Shipman policies. Shipman sends updates to us, and we go over those with the subcommittee. They're all basically all legal changes that are made that we have to update our policies on because it's legislation that has changed. So there's only 4 or 5 policies that are specific to our school district, and this is a portion of their policy that is specific to us. But we have others, such as the bylaws, is specific to us, those bylaws that we put in place. The other bylaws, they're right from Shipman.
Mr. Foote?
At the risk of beating a dead horse, I say move the question.
All right. So let's go ahead and entertain a motion to approve the modified policy and the new policy as discussed. Do I have a motion? Motion Kelly, do I have a second? Mr. Foote? Okay, we've had a discussion. Is there anything anybody wants to say last minute before we vote? No? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So that's Jerry and Greg opposed. Everybody else was in favor. Any abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you very much, everybody. All right. I'm just making sure that I've covered everything here. All right, now we are on to new business. Item number 11, out-of-state field trip. I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the out-of-state field trip to Washington, D.C. for students in grades 10 through 12 in the Social Studies Department at Terryville High School from November 9th through the 14th, 2025.
So moved.
Motion Kelly, second Greg. Any discussion on that one?
I'm glad that they're bringing this trip back.
I know, I had joy as I was reading the motion.
But just to clarify, it is for 10 students.
Yeah.
It's not the full Washington trip. This is a close
Yes.
foundation trip.
All right, any further discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none. Any abstentions? Motion carries. Item number 12, Business Manager's Report and Personnel Report. Mr. Tenza.
So the beauty of going after the superintendent's report is I have very little to report on because he puts it in his.
Yes.
So with that, I just give you a quick update on Eli Terry Middle School. First is we are essentially back using nearly all of the school with the exception of the classroom that we had the flood in and also the gymnasium. Those are the 2 most damaged areas. But we were able to, the middle school administration and working with Brian were able to get students back into most of their classrooms. So that's the good thing, and we were expecting quickly. We have hired an independent adjuster who's working for us and with the insurance company, trying to establish exactly what areas do need to be addressed. And there's obviously a difference of opinion. And as I put in the report, asbestos has been found in some of the locations, which will expand the time period of repairs. The goal, right now, our goal, the district's goal, is to get everything in line so that we can begin repairs as soon as the school year starts, because we obviously have a very hard deadline in August to get folks back into the school. Also, at Eli Terry, we did have, yesterday I was able to inform the superintendent that we have a steam leak down in the basement And unfortunately, the pipes that is addressing is also has some asbestos in it, so we are working with companies on how to handle that appropriately before those repairs are made. But these are just some of the things that we have no idea that they're going to happen, and yet they do. Here at the high school, we came in last Monday to a leak in the ceiling, right? A pipe broke, and we had a leak in the ceiling. Fortunately, our staff was able to address that quickly, and they were also able to repair it quickly, so we're back up and running. We were without heat on this section here where the central office is for one day, but we were able to take care of that. Other than that, if you have questions regarding what I provided you in your packet, I'm happy to answer any of them, but kind of business as usual right now.
Any questions for Mr. Tenza?
Are we inspecting all the pipes? That look pretty corroded.
So Brian and I spoke with Jim Mazon, and what we asked him to do is we pulled out the plans for the school, and we asked him to do random checks. There's many here in the building, but we asked him to do random checks throughout the floors just to see what he's finding. So they're in the process of that now.
What was causing that? It looks corroded from the pictures.
So-
Is that been leaking slowly for a while and just didn't get caught, or is there some bigger problem we need to be looking for?
So all of these heating pipes are wrapped in insulation. So it's not something that you can visibly see until it breaks through. That particular pipe, and Brian, correct me if I'm wrong, but Jim basically said that pipe corroded from the outside in. So the belief is that there was moisture in the insulation someplace, and it may be that it was from a leak and it was just soaked into that, but eventually it
Or it was the condensation that was building up, that was eroding the pipe from the outside in.
So when
You
those
get-
pipes
You get the
need to
pipes
be
and they sweat
rewrapped,
sometimes, and the insulation just holds it right against the pipe.
I'm sorry.
would those pipes need to be checked and like re-wrapped to make sure that underneath everything else is good?
That's why we're asking him to do random checks along the way. He has not come back to me to say that we found any additional issues. We're hoping that this is an isolated issue, but the pipes that are in the building, they're in every ceiling and they run all over. So there's no real way to just lift the ceiling tile and look. You have to randomly choose, open the insulation up, look underneath it, and then your point is rewrap it.
Any other questions for Mr. Tenza? All right, moving on to the personnel report, Mr. Falcone.
I just want to note that we did start posting our positions and our openings for next year. At Eli Terry, we have an 8th grade ELA teacher due to retirement. We have 2 math teachers here at the high school. One position we haven't been able to fill the remainder of the year, and we've had people covering that position in those math classes the best we can. There's obviously a shortage in math teachers. There's no one really out there. And then we have another math teacher that resigned from the position. We have 2 special education teachers that have retired, so we're replacing those. We have a PE teacher and health teacher that's retiring. We have a Spanish teacher that's retiring. And we have a .5 speech and language pathologist at the high school as well, based on the need here for that position. All of those positions are pending the budget. It's not that we would get rid of any or all of those to fill that $700,000 hole, but some of these positions might not be filled. So we're just trying to get the candidate pool right now, so that once the budget is approved and we're ready to go, we can hire and we have the pool together. So those positions have been posted.
Okay, excellent. All right, we are on to item number 13, back to public comment. Please come up to the podium.
First of all, dear Mr. Bourbonnier, thank you for volunteering your time.
Can you just tell us your name, please?
Dan Gentile. Sorry, a lot of people know me. Dan Gentile, 269 Mount Hope Road, Plymouth, Connecticut.
My penmanship is great.
Mr. Bourbonnier, congratulations taking over a position, helping us with the Board of Ed when I talked last month about volunteering. what you were talking about one time, just a few minutes ago. State law specifically states, no later than 1 month after the date of which the newly elected members take office, that's all of you eligible people, elect from its numbers, that's everyone in this room, a chairperson. It doesn't say 2 years, it doesn't say everything. People vote, you devote your time voluntarily. You come and you want to be on the Board of Ed. I am totally against your 2-year policy. I think it's obstructive. I think it's not right. And like Jerry said, you should relook at it. Someone should make a motion before this is over and look at it and follow state law. Everybody's eligible to be chairperson. You guys decide who's chairperson. That's why you're here. There shouldn't be a policy deciding that, oh, well, this year 5 people are elected, and we're going to let them wait 2 years before we decide if they're good enough, even though they have years and years of experience. Or the year after, well, these 4 people aren't elected, even though state law says that they are, even though they're voted in and they're eligible. There's stuff that I see, because I go to meetings, I've been going to meetings for too long. When you guys made a motion on, you just put the policies in, you did them as a group. Why didn't you do them singly? In my opinion, Robert's Rules of Order, you should have did them one at a time. No one asked that. Is everyone here eligible? Okay, everyone should be running this place? Years and years of experience here, but I'm the guy that points out there's always the way things are run. When someone has the floor, you're supposed to cut in? No, you have to go through the chair. No one follows all these rules that years and years of me doing this, I sit back there and I look at it. You spent, I don't know, half an hour talking about a policy that, in my opinion, is wrong. Because you're telling people, we don't want you as chair. Even though you're elected by your peers, you did the whole process, you sat on the board, and it's not fun being on a board or a committee. Because you have to make decisions. And it's hard. Sometimes you get sick. I was one, I caught on fire when I was on the board. I missed meetings. I don't agree with that either. If you guys don't want somebody on this board or to hold a position, you're adults. Decide. You don't need a policy. Well, Shipman and Goodwin said we did it. I used to hate sitting at the board and having a super, whoever it is, well, we're going to get a legal opinion. I could get 100 legal opinions. Your opinion is going to be what I paid the lawyer to say. Your opinion what I asked the lawyer. Opinions, just resign then. If you're going to follow legal opinions all the time, everyone resign. Just go by Shipman and Goodman and don't have a Board of Ed. Unfunded mandates. State of Connecticut has a lot of money. If you look at what they're spending, where they're spending it on, they have a lot of money. I talked about that cell phone policy years ago. I think that maybe you should dish it to the students and have them come up with a plan. What would make it better with our school by not using these cell phones? Involve the students. That's what you guys should be doing. You shouldn't be deciding who's going to be chair. Who cares who's chair? You're all here to take care of students, get them educated. And we're not doing a good job in state. I'm here because I got 2 grandchildren that are going to be joining the educational system. And I'm not happy with it. I don't like where it's going. I think it's more social services than education, and it's not good. You have people that have been showing up since the last time I was here, asking about a kindergarten education, and no one made a motion because we're all eligible. Why didn't someone make a motion so they have that graduation at Plymouth Center? At Plymouth Center used to be great. I don't know what happened to it, but you guys got issues that you're not addressing, but you're wasting a lot of time being obstructive and not being open to the public. She sat here and said she feels that she is not welcome in the school. Have a graduation. What is the problem? You know what I mean? It's so hard. No one's here. You do a presentation, the minute the presentation's gone, empty. That hasn't changed for years. You have some people online watching you. I don't know if you have a count, but what are you guys doing? You know what I mean? I'm not happy with that policy, and I hope that I see a motion to change it. And your subcommittees are just that, subcommittees. The board decides. You're not making the decision. You're not going to dish it back. You guys have the authority, each and every one of you, to make a decision on what's going on. Subcommittees are just a work committee. You guys are the deciding people. So that's my piece, and good luck. I hope you straighten out the few little problems, but focus on the students. All the rest is just, who cares who's chairman? You know what I mean? Who cares who's vice chair? Focus on the students. You know what I mean? You're putting a big, I don't know, barrier in the way, in my opinion. It doesn't matter. And Shipman Goodman doesn't know everything. I remember Mrs. Petrin, who used to come to this podium, and I wish I listened to her because I was naive and young, sitting on a board, and she knew exactly what we're doing now with the wood shop and everything that came back. And she fought. She wanted home ec and wanted home ec. And you know what we were told? We were told get rid of penmanship, cursive, and get rid of home ec and wood shop. Horrible thing to do to this town. But we were listening at the time. I think the governor was Malloy, and he was on this big kick of getting rid of all the trade schools and everything. But then they realized how much money you could make. So thank you for extra time because I know I'm beyond 3 minutes. I appreciate it. But focus on the students. Focus on educating them. That's what you guys are here for. All the rest is just noise. You know what I mean? Big deal. You got policies. Half of them aren't followed anyways. You know what I mean? So good luck. Thank you for the extra time. Please get the graduation for these kindergartners. Do something. Have a little, you know, what happened to the PTAs in Plymouth Center? We used to have a huge, strong PTA. I don't know if Cindy knows what's going on. Yeah. Why aren't they?
I think they're PTA.
Yeah. Just. Yeah. Yeah.
This is
All right.
not the-
Yeah. So thank you so much, but focus on the students. Thank you.
All right, anyone else?
Melanie Church, 328 Main Street. One thing I don't understand, and I'm going to ask out of ignorance. This thing of the 26-27 school year. You're going to have elections. People are going to be going off the board. And you're making a decision way after, or way before, the next shift is put on. It might be a simple thing, but why not hold on that 26-27 year of when you start the thing? November, you have new people on. It may seem like a simple thing to you, but it gets them involved to learn how the process works. It's a suggestion, but I know in the charter for the mayor's office, for the council, they can only hire for their term. They cannot hire beyond that term. Come November, if a new mayor comes in, that person can appoint some of the positions. So my suggestion is to you, I would almost rescind that and wait and bring it up in November. And another thing, I was sitting here thinking, where can you have a kindergarten graduation? How about at our community group? Parents could bring the kids. You wouldn't be responsible, and the kids could have their graduation. You know, and it puts everybody together. Like I said, what's it going to take you? Maybe a half hour? Parents might want to be involved and have fun after. But that's what that community room is built for. It's built for the community. Use it and set an example for the rest of the town. Thank you.
Anyone else for public comment? You can come on.
My name is Gordon Terrible. Man, I hate public speaking, but I love my kids, so here I am. I just want to tag on to the kindergarten graduation. My daughter's in first grade at Plymouth Center this year. Last year, I reached out to Principal Loveland about kindergarten graduation. I was told it's not something that we've done since before COVID, and that one of our schools did not used to do it. That's fine if we didn't do it. We haven't done it since COVID, but why can't we bring it back? If we did it before COVID, there's no reason not to bring it back. We should be getting our kids back to a new normal. COVID shouldn't be the excuse for everything anymore. You know, we're several years out from that. Our kids missed a lot because of COVID, so I feel like they should be getting more now. We should be moving past. We should be getting back to a more normal situation for them. In addition to kindergarten graduation, though, I am very disappointed with Plymouth Center as far as any kind of parent-involved activities. We have no holiday pageants or plays. We have no musical shows or pageants. We have no talent shows. We have nothing that the kids can get up together and do any kind of like a performance or songs or anything like that where parents can come and see their kids. The kids there are ages 3 to second grade, 8 years old maybe. Those are such fun years. Those are the years that parents want to see their kids excited, doing things in groups. You know, the kids are excited to get up there and look for their parents in the crowd, do things with their classmates. You know, I still remember the song that I sang in my kindergarten holiday thing. I mean, it's things that, these are memories, these are core memories that they should be making. And when I reached out to Principal Loveland last year, I was told, if you would like to be involved, then you can volunteer with the PTA. I'm going to put a plug in here right now that our PTA is amazing. They do a lot of stuff. However, you should not have to volunteer for the PTA to be able to be involved with your children in the school. I do volunteer for the PTA when I can, but 5 minutes at the school store at lunchtime, not the same thing. Not the same kind of time spending with your kid. 10 minutes at the book fair with your kid, not the same thing as being able to interact with them or watch them do something that they're excited about, that they've been practicing, that they've been learning, that, you know, they're up on stage or they're doing their silly things. That's when they do their silly little dances or they make their silly little comments. Those are the things that you remember as a parent and as a kid, you know, and I don't understand why our school doesn't do this. If you talk to people from town that had kids in school that have gone through school and they're no longer in there, they'll tell you stories about all the things that Plymouth Center used to do. And they weren't just PTA activities, they were school-sponsored activities that parents were able to attend and to go to. The kindergarten graduation, shows, plays, whatever you want to call them, different things. And I think we need to bring that back. I think our kids deserve that. I think that the parents deserve that. And yeah, I think that we're lacking in that department. And I think that that's something that needs to change. And yeah, trying to think if there's anything else I missed, but I think that's basically it. I think that we need to step up and we need to let parents be involved. And it shouldn't just be if you're able to volunteer during the day. Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, we are moving on to item 14, committee reports. Mrs. Lucian is not here. Oh,
I would interrupt you. We're good. Sorry.
I remembered the first time. All right, Mrs. Lucian is not here, so I will just speak to this quickly. The special meeting of the Plymouth Board of Education Curriculum Achievement Committee took place prior to the Board of Education meeting and reviewed the following. The reading and writing program for students in grades 6 to 8 and moved this item be brought to the full board for their approval. All right, so we do not need a second. Is there anybody who would like to make the motion to approve Wit and Wisdom for students in grades 6 to 8, beginning with the 2025-2026 school year? All right, does not need a second. Anybody who'd like to start the discussion for this?
Is this going to come out of this year's budget or next year's budget?
You saw in this end of the year funds, we should be able to cover this expense about $35,000 in the end of the year funds that we'll have remaining. It's similar to what we did with so this is the continuum of what we're doing. K-5, we're taking the reading program that we've adopted and utilizing, and we're just continuing it through to grade 8. Similar to what we did with our math program, going from K to 5, then 6 to 8, and now it runs through grade 11 with the algebra, geometry, and the algebra 2 alignment. It's the same thing with the reading. The longer we could put in a research-based reading program with our students, we feel the most beneficial it will be for them. So if we can move it from grade 5 to grade 8, it's just that much better. But yeah, it is covered in
The short answer, Cindy, is this year.
I'm not giving many short answers to it.
You're all pretty involved tonight.
Anyone else? Questions? Discussion? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none. Any abstentions? Motion carries. All right. I have a note here for me to read. Mr. Seaman was a member of the Finance Operations Committee, and due to his resignation, I will be sitting on this committee until November when we can redo the committees. So that is what's going on there. And item 15, board liaison reports. Harry S. Fisher Elementary School.
All right, I'll tell you what I got. You tell me what I missed. On April 11th, it is the Day of Kindness, so wear purple. I got to attend the 5th grade paint night. I've been looking forward to that for years. It was amazing, very well attended. There was a lot of people there. Coming up events are the BMX presentation and Penny Wars. And then the students on April 25th will have their SBAC rally and begin testing on April 28th. Anything?
No, you did not. You got them all. The only thing, they changed the date of the meeting.
Oh, did they? Oh, yeah, because it was
Right.
conference week, yeah.
Oh, you did it right. No problem.
Plymouth Center School, Mrs. Bushback.
Plymouth Center yearbooks are for sale on the PTA link tree for ordering. Last school store of the year is May 2nd. The next PTA meeting is May 13th at 7 p.m. and they're looking for members. The Plymouth Center PTA board elections are on June's meeting. The committee is accepting nominations for all 5 positions. Deadline for this is the May meeting. And the last fundraiser is Build a Buddy. Pre-order a stuffed animal kit and join in the PTA on Friday, May 16th from 5 to 7 to work through stations to stuff and accessorize your new stuffed animal. If you're not able to attend, they are ordered discount kits to be sent home with your student. Flyers will be going out after spring break with information for this event.
Right. Eli Terry Junior Middle School.
I have a question for what Luigi said first. Are those the same bears for graduation or for the end of the year?
That they
Or is
didn't.
that a fundraiser?
It's a fundraiser.
So they're doing a teddy bear fundraiser plus a teddy bear?
It's not a teddy bear. It's a Build a Buddy. I'm not exactly sure what that is, but I don't know if it's teddy bear or not.
Okay. I just got confused.
That's okay.
For the middle school, Wit and Grit is going to be April 22nd. The kids loved it last year. If you haven't filled out the form yet, it's an online link. It takes 1 second to fill out. Even if your kid doesn't want to do it, just fill it out so this way if they change their mind. The PTA just funded the field trips for the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. It's scholarship time, so if you have a senior at the high school, fill out your scholarship forms. They're going to be reviewing them. The next PTA meeting is April 30th, and I believe the last day of school is June 12th.
No, June 12th, Eli.
For the middle school, yeah.
Perryville High School, Mr. Foote.
The fundraisers are about on track for grad night. Coming up
will be the graduation signs. They want to get them out in April, starting in April 7th, which is a couple of days ago, and ending on the 23rd. Mother's Day flowers will be coming up on Saturday before Mother's Day. And IGA Roundup is going to be May 18th to the 24th.
Okay. And Ed Advance. Okay, Ed Advance, after the very long meeting last month, was very short this month. The director is doing his self-evaluation. He's up on a year, and I did just have one pop out for me that they mentioned was the pre-K funding for the RC was re-upped. I'm assuming it's the same amount of spots and nothing has changed. I don't know if you heard about that or?
So the FRC is funded through a couple of different funding streams. And so part of it is school readiness and part of it is.
Oh, that was the one
Yeah.
they say.
So yeah, no, the school readiness funding, I understand.
Yeah, they said, but it's not school readiness. They just changed the name of it.
Yeah, it's called Early Start.
Early Start, yes. Absolutely. So I thought that was good news to hear that we're keeping whatever funding. So that was pretty much it.
All right, moving on to board comments. Let's start over here with our newest returning member, Mr. Bourbonnier.
I'm good.
Okay.
I said enough already. I just started.
Mr. Showers.
Welcome back, Jerry. Congratulations, Kelly. It was a great presentation tonight.
Yeah, they were. Mr. Foote.
Just some of the things we talked about earlier. When you are elected to a position, and I've been in enough of them in town, you're neither a Republican or a Democrat. And I think you need to have consideration for others in terms of times of meeting, and it gets to be late at night.
Okay. Mr. Zabushko.
It's nice to see the presentation by the two principals. Congratulations to all those who were honored, and congratulations, Kelly. And that's about it.
Nope, he's not done. You shared some information about Bonnie Daddy Jenkins. Would you like to expand on that a little bit?
About her retirement?
No, about the publishing?
Oh, yeah, there was, let me see if I get it right. I can't remember the title of the book, but she had 7 students published in a book. Fright Night was the name of the book, and they were published in this book.
Like short stories?
Yes.
Oh,
So congratulations to her and students.
yeah, that's great. Mr. Perugino.
Yes, our student reps made a very good observation. They're absolutely correct about not getting enough publicity out there about our students. And if you look at the paper that they sent out this month, and our, if I get this right, artificial intelligence team, got it, went out to Central Connecticut State University, competed against 16 teams from around the state. We took first and second place in artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
And it's our top team. One of the things that really impressed me is that our top team developed an A1 powered medical technology designed to streamline emergency room wait times by collecting patients' vitals and medical history upon arrival, improving efficiency in patient care. Yeah, this is great. I mean, and that should be recognized. However, I take a look I read the Waterbury paper every day, and I don't read anything good about Plymouth. There's never anything in there anyway. In the Bristol Press, I don't know if anybody gets it anymore. I guess everything's online, but there's never anything about our kids. And my understanding is the reporters have changed on Waterbury. I guess Hearst took over, and they've got some new reporters, and some of the reporters that we were used to dealing with are no longer there. So I don't know what's going to happen there. They'll probably end up everything online. And if you're not online, you're not going to get the news. And I'd like to welcome back Jerry. Jerry and I served together before, and We had a lot of good times together, a lot of tough times too we went through, but we did it. Other than that, I just want to make one comment. I was at the Board of Finance Committee meeting last night with the superintendent and the business manager, and it really threw me back a little bit when they asked about capital improvements, and you know that's a thorn in my side. And Matt sends down, our business manager, every month sends down to the town hall capital improvements. So last night, when they were talking about it, I asked them, we send it to you. The vice chairman got up and said, well, he's showing something that must have been a year or two old probably. I don't know what it was. But I said, that's not the one. So Matt said, well, I'll send it down again. So I don't know what the communication's happening down there, but it's certainly not good. But the communication we are making with the Board of Finance, we have to keep on doing that, even though we are in charge of our own sinking fund. It was good to do that. And it was also great to have them walk with us yesterday morning over to Plymouth Center School, and then we went over to Fisher. But the funny thing was, one of the members of the board said, well, I'm really glad I went on that walk because I was going to vote present, but then I voted yes after I saw what we needed. So it really, that made me feel good. So we'll just keep it up and keep on doing what we have to do. But the communications has to stay up with that group. Thank you.
Welcome back, Jerry. I forgot how much you like to talk. It's a good thing.
I don't know where to
It's
go.
just
I'm
made a lot
retired.
nice.
I don't have to get up tomorrow morning.
Me neither.
Congratulations, Kelly. Congratulations, Tyler. That is a huge accomplishment. My daughter and his older sister went to school together, so I've known their family for a while. Eddie, congratulations. He's friends with Nico, and congratulations to the girls as well. We used to get the school emails for Plymouth Center and for the high school. We don't get them anymore, like their weekly updates that they send. I get the middle school and I get Fisher, but I haven't been getting those two schools for a while.
Ben, could you just make a note, that please, that we make sure the board is all on that email from the principal with regard to the weekly updates?
You get Fisher and,
I haven't done that in a long time.
Is it just those two schools though, Greg, for you two?
I don't get any of them.
You don't get any of them? You
I
gotta
get the high school, but I have a high schooler, but I don't know if I get.
Yeah, I don't know if.
Yeah, I get middle school and I get Fisher through my board
We'll take
email.
a look at it, take a look.
Yeah, because that's nice to read, so this way
You're
we
okay.
know.
Yep.
And Fallon and, I forgot what her name was. Ava. I love how they're incorporating some other things into their speeches as well, because it's nice to hear both perspectives. And I think it's true for every situation. When people do really well and stuff, they don't always get acknowledged as much. So I don't know if you guys do announcements in the morning, or I don't know if the screens in the school can display stuff. I don't know what you guys do, but I think that was a very valid point. And I know that her and several of the students here are normally the ones that are having these great accomplishments. I wanted to say congratulations to the people that I saw on the list for retirements. I'm not sure if there's any more, but Mrs. Nebrown and Dr. DJ, they've been here for a very, very, very long time. Oh, and the calendar for the school year. I love it when there's 2 years out because I like to go on vacation, so it's nice to try and figure out when vacations can be scheduled, when half days are scheduled, and stuff like that. So I appreciate the length of the calendar coming out. And that's all I have right now.
I just want to thank everybody for their comments tonight. Welcome, Jerry, and congratulations to the students. I know that working that hard and having those accomplishments, it's so great, and I don't know what we do to celebrate them, but yeah, I'm all for more celebrations for the students who are really having great achievements.
And lastly, I would like to say what I usually say, thank you to the public who has come to speak to us. even if it's things that we may not want to hear or things that are not in our favor. We do appreciate it, and we do want to encourage you to continue to do that. Even if we can't always make things work, we like to hear about it, we like to know about it. So I do appreciate that. The presentations were lovely, of course, as always, and welcome back to Jerry. Congratulations to Kelly. All right, that being said, our next board meeting, our next regular meeting of the Plymouth Board of Education is on Wednesday, May 14th, 2025 at 7 p.m. in the cafeteria here at Terryville High School. Item number 18, I'd like to entertain a motion to enter into executive session at, give me the time, 9:41 p.m. to discuss the following: a student-related matter, contract for the Plymouth School Administrators Association, MOU non-lapsing account, MOU PEA for athletic director for the middle and high school, MOU department coordinator positions at Terryville High School, and inviting Mr. Falcone, superintendent, Mrs. Malillo, assistant superintendent, and Mr. Tenza, business manager, into executive session.
So moved.
Mr. Showers? Ms. Tilton? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Yes.
Motion carries. All right, where are we going?
We're staying right
Oh, we're staying right here. Okay. Okay, I'd like to resume regular session at 10:16 p.m. Action from executive session. I would like to entertain a motion to authorize the superintendent of schools along with the business manager to present to the Plymouth Board of Finance the memorandum of understanding for the non-lapsing account as discussed in executive session.
So moved. Second.
Greg, Pat, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. I would like to entertain a motion to approve the memorandum of understanding for the Plymouth Education Association for the athletic director for the middle and high schools as discussed in executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Greg, second, Mr. Zabushka. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the memorandum of understanding for the department coordinator positions at Terryville High School as discussed in executive session.
So moved.
Greg?
Second.
Mr. Foote? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, motion carries as well. I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn at 10:17 p.m.
So moved. Second.
Mr. Showers, Kelly, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Good night, everybody. Thank you very much.
I'm exhausted.